They thought money would fix everything. They thought a historic number, splashed across headlines and framed as progress, would quiet the noise, calm the locker rooms, and lock in the league's future. When the WNBA put $1 million earning structure on the table, executives believed they were making history. In their minds, this was the deal that would silence critics, stabilize the league, and cement a new era with signatures and smiles. Instead, it detonated everything. Because Caitlin Clark didn't hesitate. She didn't counter. She didn't ask for revisions behind closed doors. She walked away. The moment she said no, the ground shifted beneath the league. What was supposed to be a triumphant announcement instantly became a referendum on years of frustration, mistrust, and unresolved power struggles. And now, in the aftermath of that refusal, the unthinkable has happened. Cathy Engelbert is gone. Not reassigned. Not quietly sidelined. Stepped down. Her resignation isn't just another headline in a chaotic news cycle. It's a signal flare marking the collapse of the old system. This was supposed to be the moment the WNBA finally arrived. The league had the momentum, the attention, the audience it had chased for decades. All that was left was to formalize the future with a groundbreaking collective bargaining agreement. But instead of applause, the league was met with defiance. Caitlin Clark and the Players' Union didn't just reject the offer. They rejected the premise behind it. And once that happened, there was no going back. Shockwaves rippled through the league office almost immediately. Executives who believed they had engineered the perfect solution suddenly realized they had misread the room entirely. The refusal wasn't a negotiation tactic. It wasn't posturing. It was a vote of no confidence that shattered the league's leadership structure in real time. The WNBA had assumed peace could be purchased with a paycheck. What they failed to understand was that a revolution was already underway inside their own locker rooms. On paper, the offer looked transformative. $1 million earning pathway for top players. Expanded bonuses. Promises of better travel and improved conditions. To casual fans, it sounded like a massive win, especially compared to a past where max salaries barely cracked $200,000. Analysts predicted a smooth signing. Owners expected praise. This was framed as the golden ticket that would secure the 2026 season and prevent labor chaos. But players saw through it immediately. Behind the scenes, they understood what the offer really was. A fixed ceiling presented as freedom. A polished distraction designed to quiet criticism without addressing the core issue. The WNBA had just secured a media rights deal worth over $2 billion. Team valuations were soaring. Merchandise sales were exploding. Attendance numbers were climbing at historic rates. Every financial indicator pointed to a league entering its most profitable era. And yet, the players were being asked to lock themselves into a capped structure while ownership kept the overwhelming majority of the upside. The union wasn't asking for a bigger allowance. They were asking for ownership of their own value. Caitlin Clark's rejection made that crystal clear. Her decision wasn't emotional or impulsive. It was calculated, strategic, rooted in the same concerns players had been voicing for years but never had the leverage to enforce. The league expected hesitation. They expected negotiation. What they never anticipated was unity. When Clark walked away, it became clear the players were aligned in a way the WNBA had never faced before. And the carefully constructed CBA pitch began collapsing under the weight of its own limitations. In rejecting the deal, the players weren't just turning down a contract. They were rejecting the entire business model Cathy Engelbert had built her tenure around. Her leadership had always been about balance, threading the needle between legacy structures and modern growth. For 2 years, she walked that tightrope. Clark's decision was the moment she fell. The illusion that incremental change would be enough evaporated instantly. The players had outgrown the league's old bargaining tactics. This wasn't about disrespecting money. It was about exposing a system that still failed to reflect the true value of the athletes carrying it forward. And for the first time, the WNBA realized it was no longer negotiating from a position of strength. Engelbert's unraveling didn't start with the CBA. That was simply the final act. The cracks had been forming for years. Travel controversies forced players onto exhausting commercial flights while charter access was selectively granted. The prioritization rule cornered athletes into choosing between the WNBA and lucrative overseas contracts, effectively cutting off major sources of income. Each decision sent the same message. Fairness was flexible. Player needs were secondary. Then came the moment that permanently fractured trust. The CNBC interview. Asked directly about racism, harassment, and the toxicity surrounding players, Engelbert didn't draw a line in the sand. She didn't defend her athletes. She pivoted to corporate language about rivalries and market growth, comparing the situation to Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. To the players, it wasn't just tone deaf. It was revealing. Their pain wasn't a problem to solve. It was a talking point to monetize. By the time CBA negotiations began, Engelbert was already on thin ice. Clark's rejection didn't create the backlash. It exposed it. It made clear that the commissioner no longer had the credibility or authority to lead a league in the middle of a cultural and economic shift. What Engelbert never fully anticipated was the rise of a real alternative. Unrivaled changed everything. Built by players, for players, it shattered the WNBA's long-standing monopoly. For the first time, athletes had options that didn't involve restrictive rules, capped salaries, or corporate indifference. Unrivaled offered equity.